Welcome to our lovely future humans and our 5D collective of mystics, spiritual, mindful living, loving people. As we talked about in our short, you do not have a choice about being in physical pain, but you can always choose not to suffer. Thank you, said Guru. And yesterday I shared with you some stories, and we talked about how we don't have to do anything for suffering or for stress, something like that. And I want to remind my lovely regular listeners, when we exaggerate, I do too. It's like not a never forever kind of deal. But I get really excited because there's a huge difference between the 5D collective and 3D, 4D. The difference is we use our prefrontal cortex. So by being yourself, you are in your highest timeline. And if you're mystic, then you know anima mundi is what counts. And if you're also spiritual, you know that nobody owns the word God, Jesus, Holy Spirit. Nobody owns any of the spiritual stories or any of that which is in the realm of invisibility. Science, on the other hand, it has proof, like tangible proof. So when people don't like what they hear, for example, the 0 to 8 years of age people that are living out their emotionally immature stuff, yes. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. They like to talk about those of us who live wellness as if we're pretending. We don't pretend. I don't pretend to be Maria. I don't pretend to be happy. I actively do not seek mystical experiences. Seek transformation. Thank you, Sadhguru. I don't need to transform myself because I'm myself. And that's why mystical experiences, and that means clairs and moving into from faith to more, didn't confuse me. So your highest timeline, we're going to talk about this in extended, is when you're being yourself because you're owning all your child parts. You know how to actually not turn your back on your friends and to handle those who betray you, quote unquote, like grown up, because really that word betrayal, I'm 45 personally. By the time I was 20, it's like, hey God, so listen, Lucifer, nah, check, not no monster. Cloak people hurting children, check. Bunch of more grown-ups hurting everyone, check. So when I think leaders, the disappointing leaders are the ones who are not leaders in the book of those of us who are our highest timeline. When I see 4D, I know they're magical thinkers who didn't get over their childhood unfortunate business, and they have a self-righteous baton, which is why they carry pitchforks, and then they want to go punishing the side. So they're hypocrites. I really don't like any hypocrisy. I'm very much, not negotiable. So here's the deal about when you're emotionally intelligent driven, because you're mentally intelligent driven, because you know who you are. I'm Maria, I'm a teenager, I'm in school, it's Friday evening. Teacher says, anyone have questions? I raise my hand. Do we have any homework? Boo, I ignored that. No, meaning my explicit memory is I didn't give two fucks. No flinching. You know why? Because morons. I have chosen to stop using that word, but I'm trying to use it a little bit so you can understand what a moron is to me. Somebody who is stupid, who doesn't know how to use two sides of their brain. Now, while Peter Levine, thank you so much for humbling me. God, thank you so much for reminding me how to maintain humility while being a person who can spot shame a mile away. A man who says, if someone looks away, that I'll erode his confidence is a man who didn't notice he has an Achilles heel. Which is also why a man who plays Russian roulette on screen and thinks he's a badass, you think, sure you are. Wow, you're amazing. No, you're not. So intelligent minds, they're emotionally intelligent, otherwise they're not mentally intelligent, because the low emotional intelligence is what leads you. Your 3-year-old. Do you own your 14-month-old is my question, because if you don't, you're not a highest timeline yet, which is why 4D and their magical thinking. And we're going to talk about that. And 3D, well, let's just say that they're in a time that is no longer, but all our brothers and sisters, they serve one purpose. All you need is love. Boom, boom, boom. All you need is love, love. Love is all you need. So God always reminds his children, humility is what his actual timbre is. It's not confusing. Those of us who do know what a perfect storm is you know what a perfect storm is? DB, I'm going to talk to you today. A perfect storm is when an empowered feminine gets to understand by the third twin flame, I know I don't know some shit, God, but I'm going to find out. I know I will. And with curiosity, because courage and strength, sure, we can build it when you're crying and when you're laughing, all these emotions, they're amazing. We don't suffer them. The people who don't know how to use their prefrontal cortex, they sound like a Zen master who says he has laundry, which is why he doesn't believe you can be an enlightenment. So when someone's mediocre and they're giving you a low bar, just remind yourself, there's a high bar. It's called be yourself the smart way. Stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable. Before you can even bother being yourself, you need to go and transform yourself if you need that. That's called with someone like a Patrick Tian. Yes, self-righteous, contemptuous batons are not going to be here because that's a 3D, 4D brothers and sisters who think that only 144,000 are special. Many will be called, but few will be chosen. I see you decided who the few are, huh? Not you, but the people who think they're God and they're not God. So, God gives his children a place to call home. And if the power of their community is a low frequency, they won't be here at IHP because they don't inspire human potential. In fact, they're the mediocre morons I never followed once as a kid. I'm like, okay, I made a mistake too. I was also a fool. But it's okay, Maria. You're allowed to be stupid once. Was I stupid again? Nope. Never have been. Do you know what betrayers are to a person who knows what it means to have integrity, morality, and to know walk a walk, talk a talk? So, teenage boyfriend, 4 years. People think I let him get away with shit. No, polyamory, by the way, is not people who don't know how to love, just FYI. Some of us know how to talk, and then we also how to not be insecure. In fact, it's not, you're not pilly enough. That's not love. That's another person who needs Terry real. So if you are authentic, transparent, you're not pretending to be you. You know you're imperfect, you're flawed, all of that. Why? Because not I'm comparing myself. No, because I'm Maria and you're you. So I'm never going to say I know everything about you because I don't. And if you ever say you know everything about me, you don't know everything about me. But what I can tell you is by the 4th year, all those backstabbers, liars, and betrayers, I knew it was normal to be insecure as teenagers. As I got to college, I knew that was ridiculous. Fraternity, sorority, bullshit, yuck, what are you doing to each other? STDs, anything? Wow, drugs, alcohol, are you dumb? You must be dumb if you're a lawyer and doing cocaine still. You must be completely... So that's how it feels when you see stupidity on a wheelhouse. Oh, by the time they get to be grown-ups and telling you that their life is amazing thanks to drugs, you think, okay. The ones who are on the other extreme is like, okay then, wow, we have basically children who didn't notice that there's good therapists who help them to transform themselves. Yes, do not seek mystical experiences. The ones who are 4D, 3D, they haven't learned to know themselves. So they're pretending to be something, and that is where's our lovely Patrick Chan. He helps anybody who wants to be brave. So betrayers and backstabbers, what they are cowards, which is why we don't need to wash our back. I don't need to watch my back from somebody who has low self-esteem because they're always going to be envious, jealous, spiteful. Oh, we're all embodied brains, so we pick up on each other, which is why my gut tells me a mile away, I'm not good enough to be saluted. If I have an unhealthy one, it's not that I don't love them, it's that I didn't want to become your friend, you're still a stranger. Guess what people who are not empowered do? Well, did you say it right? Because you're a woman who hugs men, so you might, and you're polyamory, so you're confusing Maria. Maria, did you get in his face? Because you didn't get in his face. Women say that. But Maria, you could have let him get away with it. Like, leave him alone. Or, so our false self-identity is also an attempt to not emulate an abusive parent. When you see people who are pretending to be grown-ups, they're actually people who have a mask. I don't have a mask. I didn't do anything wrong. What I did was called function of child adult. So at IHP, we're going to have people who know what boundaries are, which is we don't need to say anything. It's called we can walk a walk and talk a talk, and we know what the right use of power is. Authentically, everybody's different, and anybody who wants to be left and right united with their brain, integrated brain, reach their limitless possibility and infinity and beyond, be yourself, join us. There's no obstacles. In fact, not even one. In Twin Flames, there's no tragedy for an empowered feminine. I mean, obviously, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But you don't surrender to God. You work with God. When you're in communion with God, and you know Jesus and Holy Spirit, and bold steps forward, protecting the future, beginner's mind. That's what we get to do. Leave a legacy behind of what is true, inspirational, which is why we don't suffer life. We know how to use a prefrontal cortex, and above all, we have the passion of Christ and more. It's amazing to be on a high all the time. It's called restorative embodiment, resilience, the practicing of the good kind, which is why we don't need to do anything for stress, because emotions, we're all over it. Emotions and thoughts are easy and they're fun. Our challenge, the opportunity to grow, inner growth, consistently dealing with unknowns, uncertainties, unwanteds, unexpecteds. The one thing that everyone here at IHP is going to enjoy is always doing it, because guess what 3D, 4D are? I mean, they have yet to present to me a challenge. The only thing they give me is the opportunity to say, a man who does this is a buffoon. He doesn't know how to use his brain. He only uses one side of it. Which is why you're like, okay, sure, whatever. We'll be back with more. Have a good one.